The jacket that broke the family. I know this sounds ridiculous. A jacket, yes, a jacket, is what started the downfall of my family's peace. But as I've learned, sometimes betrayal doesn't come in the form of lies or infidelity. Sometimes it comes wrapped in wool, smelling faintly of someone else's laundry detergent. It happened on a Sunday afternoon, the kind of chilly day when the air tastes like rain. My in-laws had taken my 7-year-old son, Noah, out for lunch and a shopping trip, as they liked to call it. They loved to spoil him, and honestly, I didn't mind. They were helping, right? At least that's what I told myself. When they brought him home, he came running up the porch steps wearing a sleek navy blue jacket I'd never seen before. It fit perfectly. Stylish, new, warm. The kind of jacket I would have chosen myself if I could afford something that nice. Wow, buddy, I said, kneeling down to zip it up. New jacket? He grinned proudly. Grandma picked it. She said I looked handsome in it. I smiled, genuinely touched, but something about the way my mother-in-law, Carol, stood behind him, her arms crossed and lips pursed, felt like she wasn't entirely pleased. Looks good on him, she muttered, but we'll need it back soon. I blinked. What do you mean? Oh, it's actually... She glanced at her husband, who looked suddenly fascinated by his shoes. Our grandson Tyler's jacket. We just let Noah wear it because it was cold and he forgot his own. I froze. Wait. So, they sent my son home in someone else's jacket and planned to take it back later. It didn't make sense. Noah's jacket was perfectly fine. Maybe a bit old, but not forgotten. And if it was that cold, why not just grab one of the spares they kept for visits? Okay, I said, forcing a polite smile. No problem. But it was a problem, because a week later, Carol texted me out of nowhere. Can you send the blue jacket back with Noah next time? Tyler needs it. That text shouldn't have bothered me as much as it did, but something about it made my blood boil. The tone, the assumption, the nerve. They'd given it to him, let him wear it, let him feel proud, then yanked it away like it was a loan privilege. Still, I didn't respond right away. I was trying to be civil, to play the good daughter-in-law. But Noah, he noticed. Why do they want it back? He asked one morning, holding the jacket close. Did I do something wrong? That broke me. The look on his little face. Confused, hurt, small. I told him the truth. No, baby, you didn't do anything wrong. Some people just don't know how to share. That weekend, when my in-laws came to pick him up, Carol immediately reached for the jacket hanging by the door. There it is, she said, her voice unnervingly cheerful. Tyler's been waiting for this. I couldn't help it. Something inside me snapped. You know, Carol, I said calmly, it's really inappropriate to give a child something and then take it back, especially when that child thinks it's his. That's just cruel. The room went silent. My husband's face turned pale. Carol blinked at me like I'd just cursed her entire bloodline. Excuse me, she said, her tone sharp. You heard me, I replied. You don't mess with a kid's emotions over something as petty as a jacket. If it was that important to you, maybe you shouldn't have sent him home wearing it. Her husband cleared his throat awkwardly. We didn't give it to him. It was just borrowed without explanation, I cut in. You don't borrow feelings, though. He thought it was his. You let him think that. Carol's lips tightened. You're overreacting. It's just a jacket. No, I said softly. It's not, because it wasn't just about a piece of clothing anymore. It was about control, about boundaries, about the way they inserted themselves into our lives under the guise of helping, only to make me feel like I owed them gratitude for every little act. They left soon after, taking the jacket with them, and a piece of my patience along with it. But that wasn't the end. A few days later, I found out they'd told everyone in the family that I screamed at them over a jacket. My husband's sister texted me saying, I can't believe you made such a scene over something so small. And that's when I realized it was never just about the jacket. It was about control, reputation, and manipulation. The jacket was just their weapon of choice. I confronted my husband, furious. Do you believe them? That I overreacted? He sighed, rubbing his temples. Honey, I know you didn't scream, but maybe you could have handled it differently. That sentence, maybe you could have handled it differently, hit me harder than anything Carol could have said. It told me everything I needed to know about where his loyalty really was. So here I am, weeks later, replaying the whole thing in my head. Did I overreact? Maybe. But what kind of person plays tug-of-war with a child's happiness just to prove a point? My son still asks about the jacket sometimes, and every time I tell him it wasn't yours to lose, it was theirs to regret. Because in that small act, in taking back something they'd given, my in-laws showed exactly who they were, and maybe, just maybe, I showed who I was too. A mother who refuses to let her child learn that love can be taken back, just as easily as a borrowed coat. So am I the asshole for criticizing my in-laws? Or was the real betrayal the moment they decided that control mattered more than kindness? Part 2. The threads begin to unravel. It's strange how silence can be louder than shouting. After the jacket incident, that's exactly what filled our house, a thick, suffocating quiet that clung to every room. My husband, Mark, avoided eye contact. My son, Noah, stopped asking questions. And me? I was left wondering when, exactly, a piece of clothing had become the battlefield for my marriage. The in-laws didn't visit for a while, and I thought maybe, just maybe, the storm had passed, but then the phone calls began. Short, passive-aggressive, always ending with something that felt like a threat wrapped in politeness. We just hope Noah doesn't feel deprived now that we can't give him things anymore. It's sad, really, when a mother can't appreciate a little kindness. Every time Carol's voice reached my ears, I felt that same spark of rage flare up again. But I kept quiet, for Noah's sake. Or so I told myself. One evening, Mark came home late from work, his face drawn and tired. He sat at the table without saying a word. After a long pause, he finally spoke. "They called me today," he said quietly. I knew exactly who they were, and he rubbed his forehead. "They're hurt, you know. They said you embarrassed them, that you accused them of being manipulative in front of Noah." I laughed, a short, bitter sound. "Oh, so now I'm the villain because I didn't want our son's feelings treated like a rental item." Mark sighed. "You could have handled it privately." "Privately?" I snapped. "You mean the way they privately badmouth me to everyone in the family? The way they tell their friends I'm too sensitive? The way they made our child cry and I'm supposed to stay quiet about it? The table between us might as well have been a canyon." He stared at me for a long moment before saying softly, "They're still my parents." That's when I realized something broke between us. Not loudly. Not in an explosive fight, but quietly, like glass cracking under slow pressure. Weeks passed. Christmas approached. My in-laws invited us over, but I refused. Mark took Noah instead. He said, "It's just a few hours. Please don't make this harder." I spent that evening alone, trying not to picture them together, Carol laughing, Noah smiling, Mark pretending nothing was wrong. When they came home, Noah ran up to me, excited. "Mom, Grandma got me another jacket." My stomach turned. He proudly pulled out a bright red coat, the tag still dangling. It looked expensive, deliberately so. Carol's way of proving a point. "That's nice," I said, forcing a smile. But inside, I was shaking, because I could see what she was doing. Rewriting the narrative. "See, we're the good ones. We still give. She's the one who took away kindness." Later that night, as Noah slept, I found the receipt for the jacket in his backpack. It wasn't new. The tag was reattached. It had been returned, bought before, worn before, then repackaged as new. That's when the truth hit me like a punch. This wasn't about generosity. It was about control. Carol wanted to make me look ungrateful. To everyone. I confronted Mark again. "Did you know about this?" He hesitated. "Too long. She just wanted to make things right," he said quietly. "No," I whispered. "She wanted to make me look wrong." He didn't argue. He didn't need to. The silence said it all. A few days later, I got a message from Carol's sister, someone I barely spoke to. "Hey, I just want you to know I think it's awful what they're saying about you. You don't deserve that." My hands shook as I typed back. "What are they saying?" She replied, "That you screamed at Noah for losing the jacket. That you blamed him. They said you made him cry and then blamed them to cover it up." I felt sick. They had twisted everything. Turned me into the villain of their own story. That night, I sat on the edge of my bed, holding my phone in one hand, scrolling through messages from family members who suddenly stopped replying to me, who needed space. And in that moment, the full weight of the betrayal hit me. This wasn't about a jacket. It never was. It was about erasing my role as a mother, undermining me until everyone else saw me as irrational, ungrateful, unstable. Then came the final blow. One afternoon, when Noah came home from school, I noticed he wasn't wearing his red jacket. "Where's your coat, baby?" I asked gently. "Oh," he said casually. "Grandma took it. She said she'd clean it. She said she'll keep it for when I'm at her house." My vision blurred. "She what?" Mark came home to find me sitting in the kitchen, trembling. "They took his jacket again," I said quietly. "Do you see it now? Do you finally see what they're doing?" But instead of outrage, all I saw in his face was defeat. "I'll talk to them," he murmured. "Don't," I snapped. "You've talked enough, and they've listened just enough to twist your words into excuses." That night, I made a decision. I wasn't going to beg for respect anymore. I wasn't going to let anyone, not my in-laws, not even Mark, make my son think love was conditional. So I packed a small bag, just enough clothes for a few days, Noah's favorite blanket, his school things, and when morning came, I told Mark quietly we're staying with my sister for a while. He didn't stop me. Maybe he couldn't. Maybe he knew had already chosen his side long ago. At my sister's house, for the first time in months, the air felt light. I watched Noah play with her kids, laughing freely, unburdened. He didn't mention the jackets anymore. He didn't ask about his grandparents. He was just happy. And me? I sat by the window one night, staring out into the cold darkness, and finally understood what betrayal really is. It's not one big moment. It's 1,000 small choices, the silence when you should have spoken up, the lies you tell to keep the peace, the people you lose because you kept waiting for them to see the truth. The jacket was never just a jacket. It was the symbol of everything wrong. A reminder that love without respect isn't love at all. So, am I the asshole for criticizing them? Maybe to some people, yes. But if protecting my child from manipulation makes me the villain, then I'll wear that label like armor. Because the truth is, betrayal doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers through fabric. Sometimes it comes home wearing someone else's jacket. Part 3. Threads of control. It's been 2 months since Noah and I left. 2 months of peace, or what I thought was peace. At first, it felt liberating. My sister's house was loud, messy, a lie. Her 2 boys played with Noah endlessly, and I started to remember what normal looked like. We cooked dinners together, laughed over stupid shows, left dishes in the sink without judgment. For the first time in years, I wasn't walking on eggshells. But peace has a strange way of turning on you, because once the silence stopped being suffocating, it became haunting. Mark called occasionally. Short, stiff conversations. "How's Noah? Has good? When are you coming home?" I don't know. He never asked how I was, and I never offered to tell him. Still, I missed him. Not in the romantic way, but in that aching, nostalgic way you miss someone you built a life with, someone you once trusted completely. But every time I thought about coming home, I remembered Carol's smirk when she took the jacket away, the lies she told, and the look on Mark's face when he said, "They're still my parents." That sentence replayed in my mind like a song I couldn't turn off. Then one day, a small package arrived at my sister's house. No note, no return address. Inside was a folded piece of clothing. A jacket, the blue one, the original, the one that started everything. I held it for a long time, tracing the seams, the soft fabric still faintly smelling like Noah. There was something tucked into one of the pockets, a photo. It was an old picture of my in-laws holding Noah at a birthday party. My handwriting was on the back. "Thank you for loving him." For a moment, I couldn't breathe. It was from years ago, back when I actually meant it. Back when I thought they were family, not opponents. Why send this now? An apology? A threat? A reminder that they still could reach me, no matter where I went. I didn't know, but I knew better than to take it at face value. That night, I called Mark. "Did your parents send me something?" He hesitated. "They mentioned mailing something." "Why? What was it?" "The jacket." He went quiet. "Mark," I said slowly, "why are they so obsessed with this jacket? What's really going on here?" He sighed. That same tired sigh had been giving me for months. "You wouldn't understand." I laughed bitterly. "Try me." Then came the truth. Not dramatic, not shouted, just said in that calm, broken tone that people use when they've run out of energy to keep lying. "It was my brother's," he said quietly, "before he died." I froze. "What?" "The jacket. It was his. My mom kept it for years. When she saw Noah that day, she said he looked just like him. I didn't think much of it. I didn't know she'd make him wear it. But when you got angry, it felt like you were attacking something she wasn't ready to let go of. I closed my eyes, my throat tight. Suddenly, all of it made sense. The possessiveness, the strange emotional weight, the fury when I criticized her. It wasn't just about control, it was grief. Twisted, unresolved grief that had been festering for years, disguised as generosity, expressed as manipulation. Still, that didn't excuse it. She hurt Noah, I whispered. She used him to relive something she couldn't face. I know, Mark said softly, but she doesn't see it that way. For a long time, neither of us spoke, just the sound of our breathing through the phone carrying all the words we couldn't say. Finally, Mark said they want to see him. They're not doing well, especially my mom. She keeps saying she didn't mean to cause harm. And what about me? I asked quietly. Did she mean to cause harm to me? He didn't answer. That silence told me everything. Weeks later, against my better judgment, I agreed to meet them in a neutral place, a park. I told myself it was for Noah. He deserved closure. When we arrived, Carol stood by a bench, the same faint perfume she always wore lingering in the air. Her eyes looked tired, older, smaller somehow. Noah, she said softly, kneeling down to hug him. I missed you, sweetheart. He hugged her back politely but not tightly. Children know when something isn't safe, even if they can't explain why. Then she turned to me. I'm sorry, she said, her voice trembling, for everything. I didn't realize what I was doing. I wanted to believe her. I really did. But then she added, it's just when I saw him in that jacket, I thought maybe my son wasn't completely gone. My heart broke for her, and at the same time hardened. Carol, I said gently but firmly, I understand you're grieving, but Noah isn't a replacement for your son. Has his own person, and when you use him to fill that space, you're hurting him and me. Tears welled in her eyes. I know, she whispered. I just didn't know how to let go. Behind her, Mark stood motionless, watching, torn between two worlds. His mother's sorrow and my quiet fury. The meeting ended with fragile civility. We said goodbye, promised to stay in touch, though everyone knew we wouldn't. But something changed in me that day. For the first time, I didn't feel angry. I felt free, because I finally understood betrayal isn't always malicious. Sometimes it's born out of pain, out of grief that curdles into control, and understanding that didn't erase the hurt, but it made it bearable. Months later, Noah outgrew the blue jacket. One day, he handed it to me. Mom, he said, I don't need this anymore. Can we give it to someone else who does? I smiled through tears. Yeah, baby, we can. We donated it quietly. No ceremony, no announcement. Just a quiet act of letting go. Something his grandparents had never learned to do. And as I watched him walk away, taller now, freer, I realized that maybe healing isn't loud or dramatic. Maybe it's as simple as giving back what was never really yours to keep. So, am I the asshole? Maybe to some. Maybe to those who think peace is the same as silence, or that family means never setting boundaries. But if protecting my son from inherited pain makes me selfish, then I'll take that. Because love, real love, doesn't cling. It lets go. And sometimes letting go of a jacket means letting go of a ghost.